cold and aloof. Her warm touch melted my resolve to keep my composure. I loved her touch, but I wished she would remove her fingers. I didn't know if I could hold back my tears anymore. Please, I said. It sounded needy. I hated myself for saying it. Madhav, I'm not angry with you anymore. It is anyway not possible for us to be friends again. I am leaving. What? I'm leaving college. What? Like quitting? She nodded. I'm dropping out. You are in the second year. You won't finish your degree? Never cared much for formal education. I looked at her, shocked. Of course, I can say that because my dad's rich. It's okay if you think that I'm a quitter. No, I didn't think that. All I'm thinking is, why? She shrugged. You are dropping out of St. Stephen's. There must be a reason. Our eyes met. Maybe it was my imagination, but, for a moment, I felt the same connection to her as I had in the past. I don't think you want to know. I do, I said. Of course I do. You will judge me. Have I ever? She kept quiet. Riya, have I ever judged you? You judged me and threw me out of your life. Madhav, please. Let's not go there. Yeah, fine. Anyway, are you still thinking about quitting, or is it final? Pretty final. Why? She took a deep breath. Open the glove box. What? She pointed to the storage box below the dashboard. Puzzled, I reached over and opened it. It had 3 red cardboard boxes inside. Take one, she said. I picked up a box and sat back on my seat. The velvet-lined red box had golden leaves embossed on it. Open it. I switched on the reading light on my side of the car. I lifted the red gold lid of the box. Inside, I found a red envelope on top of a silk pouch. The card and the pouch had R&R on it. What? I said. She gestured with her eyes that I look further. I held the envelope in one hand and the pouch in the other. The pouch contained pieces of chocolate wrapped in silver paper. I put the pouch aside and opened the card. I read a couple of lines. My head swam. What? I turned to Riya. I told you, you don't want to know. I composed myself and summoned the resolve to read the full card. It went like this: Shri Vishnu Somani and Srimati Kala Devi Somani humbly invite you to the wedding of their granddaughter Riya Somani. D. O. Mr. Mahendra Somani and Mrs. Jayanti Somani, with Chi. Rohan Chandak, S. O. Late Shri Manoj Chandak and Jamna Bai Chandak, on 25 January 2007 at 8 p.m. At the Taj Palace Hotel, Delhi. Program and RSVP details attached. Request no gifts. I didn't read the other cards in the box, which had details of the other ceremonies. I simply sat there frozen. I clutched the silk pouch like a stress ball and looked straight ahead. It happened so fast, Riya said. I remained quiet. Shock waves ran through me. Numb, I traced the golden embroidery on the pouch. A part of me can't believe it is happening, she said, to fill the awkward silence. You are getting married? I whispered, my tone unusually calm, my gaze still averted. In 2 months. I smirked and turned to her. Wow, Riya. I've never faced such a dodge, even on the basketball court. What do you mean? I wanted us to be friends again. But you are leaving college. Getting married. That's life, I guess. You are 19. Will turn 20 after the wedding, later the same year. Have you gone mad, Riya? You've lost the right to talk to me like that, she said. I'm sorry. It's fine. Madhav, it is my choice. Nobody is forcing me. I want to leave. Why? I never wanted to do this course. I don't want to be near my sexist relatives. You could finish your degree. Go abroad later to study. Why marriage? I want adventure, travel and excitement. Rohan promises all that. Are you sure? Yeah. He's crazy. He keeps me entertained. He's also well settled. What's wrong with marrying him? He's rich. So? Is that his only flaw? So am I. Not a flaw. Just an observation. He couldn't wait for you to finish college? He wants you to drop out? Well, he doesn't care either way. It's his family. They want him to get married soon. My parents don't want to risk losing a match like him, too. Riya, nobody drops out of college like this. People abroad do it all the time. Not in India. Oh, come on. Most of India needs a degree to get a job and make a living. I don't need that, right? She wasn't wrong. Losers like me need to study, else we have no future. People who are born at 100, Aurangzeb Road can do whatever they want in life. Even Rohan joined an MBA and never finished it. Is Rohan your boyfriend? Well, he will be my husband, Riya said. That's not what I asked. We are getting closer. Of course, I always called him Rohan Bhaiya when I was growing up, so it's an adjustment, she said. She laughed at her own joke. I wished someone had strangled Rohan at the Bhaiya stage. That bastard had seemed like trouble right from Riya's party. I wanted to say something sensible. I wanted to turn the tide even somewhat in my favor. Of course, God had not given me the brains to do so. Neither was my timing right. A girl giving you her wedding card is basically like a giant, game over, sign flashing in a video game. It is not the time to say you want her back. Or that you love her more than anything else on earth. I wondered if I should act supportive. I wondered if I should ask her about the preparations, or if she needed any help. I stopped myself. I could not sink that low. The situation reminded me of what my friends used to tell me. I was indeed a toy. I felt like Woody from the movie Toy Story. In the film, Woody, a neglected toy, cries alone because his owner grows up and no longer plays with him. Say something, she said. You bloody bitch, my impulsive mind suggested. I controlled myself. Please don't do this. I love you so much, said the emotional side of my mind. I realized my head was a mess right now. Given my track record, saying anything would only mean regretting it later. What do I say? Surprise. Shocked. I don't know. People normally say congratulations. Yeah, I said, but didn't congratulate her. I hope we can move past whatever happened. We can, right? She said. I nodded. You will come? Where? The wedding. I just invited you. I wanted to throw her over the top wedding invitation box cum card at her. Let's see, I said. I patted myself mentally. I had responded with more dignity than I thought I had. Go fuck yourself, would have been a more natural response. Please do come, she said. Are you sure you are doing the right thing? I managed to say one more time. I'm following my heart. That's usually doing the right thing, right? I don't know. Sometimes following your heart leads you nowhere. I looked at her to see if she understood my sly comment. She did, and gave a wry smile. I am sorry, Madhav, if I hurt you. I nodded to reassure her that hurting me was no big deal. Pretty girls have the right to hurt men. I found it hard to breathe. I switched off the reading light. That way, in case I started crying, my tears would not be visible. I heard a knock on the car's door. The driver was back. "Here, madam," the driver said. He handed her 4 packets of Parle-G. She passed the biscuits to me. "Please take them for Rudra. I'm addicted to these. If I keep them in the car, I'll eat them all." You asked him to get it. Only so he would leave us alone. I kept the packets, my consolation prize. Rohan gets Riya. Madhav gets biscuits. I opened the car door and stepped out. She stepped out from her side and walked up to me. "Bye," she said. "Bye, Riya," I said. It was hard to hold back my tears forever. I wanted her to leave. "Hey, you forgot something," she said. "What?" I said. "Your card." She reached into the car and handed me the evil red box once again, with the cards and the chocolates. I somehow managed to hold everything along with the biscuit packets. "Oh, thanks," I said. I wondered where the nearest dustbin was. "Take care then," she said and came forward for a basic goodbye hug. I stepped back. I didn't want any more fake hugs. She understood my hesitation and withdrew with grace. She smiled at me one last time and slid into her car. The BMW slipped away with its silent elegance, as if nothing had happened. The car took a left turn from Hindu College and was soon out of sight. I sat down on the road. The red box and its contents lay around me, almost like hardened blood. I cried. The desolate campus road meant nobody could see me. I let it all flow out. Months of pain condensed into tears. A car passed by. I probably looked like a Delhi beggar, complete with biscuit packets around me. After a while, I collected everything from the road and stood up. I walked up to the dustbin outside the main gate of the college. I removed the chocolates and biscuits and stuffed them in my pocket. I threw away everything else. Even though I was in pain, I remembered the golden rule: if you live in a hostel, never throw away food. 14. 1 year and 3 months later. "So tell us why you're here," said a 30-year-old man. He wore a red tie and a crisp white shirt. I was at HSBC's placement interview, facing a panel of 3 bankers. Each wore a pained and bored expression. They had heard over 40 Stephanians talk nonsense about their greatness. Each candidate had solved all the problems India faced, redesigned the bank's strategy and promised to work harder than apartheid-era slaves. Why do companies bother with such interviews? Perhaps it makes them feel better to talk about the problems of the world, even though the actual job involves sitting at a desk and punching formulas into spreadsheets. I had no answer for my panel. I didn't know why I had applied to them, or for any job at all. I hated Delhi. I flashed back to my college life. Yes, I'd loved it when I had first joined college. The first year had gone by so quickly it had felt like a vacation. The second year was painful, with Riya breaking up with me. However, she was a tightest around. I could steal a glance at her every now and then, be rejected every couple of months and still remember the good times. I had something then that keeps people going during the worst times: hope. I dreamt Riya would come around one day. She would realize I was her perfect partner, in terms of height, basketball, mental connect, how hours felt like minutes when we were together and how little we cared about the rest of the world. She never did. She slapped a wedding card on me and left. My Bihari gang had made me swear on my mother I would never contact her again. I didn't. She quit college in a couple of weeks. She had a lavish wedding, Stephanians who attended it said afterwards. I'm sure Rohan spent the college's entire annual budget on the wedding reception. I overheard that Riya had gone to Bora Bora for her honeymoon. The name of the place sounded like it was in Bihar. However, I googled it and discovered it was a set of beautiful islands in the Pacific Ocean, some reachable only by private plane. Which ruled out me going there and murdering the groom. However, the pain of the second year felt like a tickle compared to the third year. Third year sucked. I had zero ability to get over her. I couldn't believe a girl who had left me a year ago had such a grip on me. We had not even slept together. However, it mattered little. She was the only girl I had played, walked, eaten, talked, studied and had fun with. I had peeked into silent Riya more than anyone else, or so I thought. How could I forget her? Well, I could not forget her from 2 years ago, but I had forgotten the interview room one had entered 2 minutes ago. I said, "What brings you here?" The interviewer repeated and sipped from his bottle of water. "Yes, sir. I am here because." I fumbled to remember the company's name. Because HSBC is a dynamic place to work in and I want to be a part of it. Given my cut-paste answer, I thought he would splash his water on my face. However, he didn't. "Madhav Jha, right?" said another member of the panel, reading my resume. State-level basketball, impressive. Shortlisted for national team trials last year. Did you make it? No, sir. Why not? I hesitated for a second and then gave my answer. I didn't go for the trials. Basketball reminded me of her. After she left, I never went to the court. Why? All three of them asked together. I couldn't. I was under stress. What kind of stress? Said the first interviewer. Personal. The other interviewers cleared their throat. They nodded their heads at each other, communicating the need to skip that question. Why do you want to do banking? The third panelist said. Because that is what you want me to do. Excuse me? The panelist blinked. Well, I need a job. Yours is one of those available. And you pay well. So yes, I'll do whatever you want me to. You don't have a preference? Not really. I don't know what made me talk like this. Perhaps it was the fact that I had given 8 interviews over the past 2 weeks and I had lied in every one of them. I had finally had enough. I didn't want to be in Delhi anymore. I missed my mother. I wanted to call her right now. Madhav, do you want this job? The first panelist said. What's your name, sir? I asked instead. Shukla. I am Pramod Shukla. Regional Manager for North India. Mr. Shukla, are you happy? Excuse me? You don't look happy. None of you look happy. Nobody wants this job. Everyone wants the money you offer. You see the difference? The panelists looked at each other. If I had a camera, the picture of their priceless expressions could have won any photography competition. I like you. The first honest candidate we have had. I will hire you. Pramod said. The other two looked shocked. However, they were too junior to counter the boss's whim. But I don't want it, I said and stood up. Why? Pramod said. Private banking in Delhi. Top clients. 6 lakhs a year. No, sir. I am done serving rich people, I said and left the room. As I walked back to my residence after the interview, for the first time in a year, I felt respect for myself. I decided not to be a doormat anymore. I decided to stop moping over a rich girl who had left me. I had had enough of Stephens and trying to be upper class. You belong to Dumraung in Bihar. That is who you are, Madhav Jha, I told myself, and that is all you will ever be and need to be. I called my mother. How are the interviews going? She said. One company offered me a job. Who? HSBC. What do they do? Bank. They have a branch in Patna? I laughed. No, it is an international bank. The job is in Delhi, I said. Oh, my mother said and her voice dropped. You will have to be there then. I said no. What? She said, surprise. I didn't want the job. My heart is not here anymore. Where is your heart? My mother chuckled. London, said a voice in my head. Dumarao. I'm coming back home. I could sense the wide smile on her face through the phone. You'll come back to Dumarao? After finishing Stephen's college? She said, her voice bright. Yes. It is my home, after all. Of course. Everyone keeps asking about you. Where is our Prince, the Rajkumar? Please, Ma, I hope all that nonsense won't start there. What do you mean, nonsense? You are the Prince of Dumarao. People want to do your Rajabhishek ceremony. Ma. I don't like such traditions. Royalty is dead in India. It's just a way they express love. We know, and they know, we don't have power. But we help keep the community together. You shouldn't shrug it off. Anyway, I arrive in 3 weeks. I need to find something to do there. You can help with the school. You are running it well. For how long? Plus, there are so many issues I can't solve at this age. Should I focus on the teaching or repair the roof? From teachers on one side to laborers on the other, everyone eats my head. I laughed. I'll take care of the roof and any upkeep issues. You run the school. Really? Yes, Ma. How much would it have paid you? The job you left? Let it be, Ma. How does it matter now? Tell me. 50,000. A year? A month? My mother gasped so loudly my eardrum hurt. You really refused that job to come and help in a village school? Yes, Ma. I told you. I'm booking a ticket on the Magadh Express. See you in 3 weeks. I know what made you do this. My heart stopped. What? Your royal blood. You are different. You deserve to be a prince. Prince has to go. Doesn't have balance in his prepaid phone. My mother laughed as I hung up. Most Indian mothers would slap a child if he left a high-paying job like that. My mother wouldn't. She knew life involved things greater than money. She had seen the lavish life. She had also seen her wedding jewels pawned to loan sharks. None of this mattered. What mattered to my mother, the Rani Sahiba of Dumarao, was respect. Beyond a point, people want money to buy respect, she would tell me when I was a kid. Respect, however, can't be bought. You have to earn it. Live with dignity. Live for others, that is how one earns respect. She used to say she was right. Dumraon's people loved her. Not because she was the Rani Sahiba, but because she was the Rani Sahiba who cared. For the past 15 years, she had given her all to the Dumarao Royal School in Nandan village, on the outskirts of Dumarao. I felt homesick. The dusty lanes of Dumarao felt more enticing than the colonial lawns of St. Stephen's. I couldn't wait to be home. ACT2. Bihar. 15. Dumarao, District Buxar, Bihar. I wanted to surprise my mother, so I told her I was arriving a day later than the actual date. I reached the Dumarao railway station after a 14-hour train journey from Delhi. As I walked out of the station, the familiar smells of my childhood hit me straight away. There is nothing spectacular about my hometown. It is a small place, less than 3 kilometers across on any side. Its only claim to fame is being one of the oldest princely states of India. My family had something to do with that achievement. However, I don't know if I can feel proud for what my ancestors did 10 generations ago. Dumarao is in Buxar district, around 16 kilometers from Buxar town on the banks of the Ganges. If you were not sleeping in history class, you would have heard of the Great Battle of Buxar in 1764. Frankly, it should be renamed the Embarrassing Battle of Buxar. The battle was fought between the British East India Company and the combined armies of three Indian rulers, Mir Qasim, the Nawab of Bengal, Shuja-ud-Dawla, the Nawab of Awadh, and the Mughal king, Shah Alam II. The Indian side had 40,000 troops. The British had less than 10,000. Guess what happened? The British clobbered us. How? Well, the three Indian kings ended up fighting with each other. Each Indian king had cut a side deal with the British and worked against the other. In a day, the British had won the battle and taken control of most of India. I don't think Indians have learnt much since that day. We remain as divided as ever. Everyone still tries to cut a deal for themselves while the nation goes to hell. Anyway, there is a reason I am telling you this. You may think things are not connected, but think about this. If there was no birthday of Buxar, or if it had had a different outcome, the British may not have ruled India like they did. There would be none of the English high class, rest low class bullshit that happens in India. There would not even be a street. Stephen's College. Just imagine, if only the jokers in Buxar had done things a little differently, maybe the white man would be speaking Hindi and Bhojpuri would be the new cool. I took an auto rickshaw. Raja ki Haveli, I told the driver. He put the auto in first gear and drove off. In Dumarao, our house is a landmark by itself. It was the bumpiest ride ever. A cloud of dust surrounded us as we drove through the city. What happened to the road? I asked the auto driver. There are no roads, he said and laughed. 20 minutes later, the auto reached the Haveli's main entrance. 15 years ago, we had a guard post here. Now, we just had pillars on each side. Along with my 3 fat suitcases, I stood in the central quadrangle, once a beautiful garden. My childhood picture, which Riya had seen, had been taken here. I noticed a stack of bamboo poles and bundles of cloth kept in the quadrangle. 2 laborers sat in a corner, smoking beedies. What's this? I said. We are putting up a tent, said one of them. Ma wasn't home when I arrived. I entered my old room. The large wooden doors creaked more than before. The cupboard doors had become stiff. I opened the windows. Sunlight fell on the posters of Shaquille O'Neal and Magic Johnson stuck on my wall for the last 5 years. I lay on the bed, staring at the basketball champions. I wondered if I should have focused more on the national trials. A few hours later, my mother returned from school. Ma, I screamed from the window. My mother saw me as she entered the Haveli gate. She waved at me. I rushed downstairs and gave her a big hug. Girlfriends come and go, but, thank God, mothers don't break up with you. You said tomorrow, she said. We sat on one of the living room sofas, frayed but still elegant. I thought I would surprise you, I said. That's nice. But you spoilt our surprise. How? Savitri Tai, one of my mother's oldest helpers, brought in tea and sweet lit tea. Your coronation. You saw the tents outside, right? What? I said, a half-eaten lit tea ball in my hand. It's an auspicious day, Ashad Krishna. Ma, I don't want this drama. It isn't drama. It's tradition, my mother said in a low, emotional voice, the perfect starting point for female drama. I'll feel like a joker, being anointed a prince in a democracy. My mother stood up and walked to the dining table, her back to me. She remained silent, her most potent weapon. Standing tall at 5 feet, 8 inches, in her starched sari, my mother did look royal. She clenched her fists tight. I walked up to her. Ma, you shouldn't have sent me to college if you wanted me to keep following such rituals. My mother spoke, her back still towards me. Funny, I was thinking the same thing. I went around the dining table to face her. We have an MLA, I said. What's his name? My mother looked at me in defiance. What's his name, Ma? Ojha. Useless fellow. Yes, Ojha. We also have an MP in Buxar and a CM in Patna. The villagers still care for us. You know why? She said. Because they are old-fashioned and uneducated? My mother looked at me sharply. You've become like them. Like whom? The over-educated idiots in big cities. Whenever they don't understand villagers, they call them uneducated and old-fashioned. I listened to her reprimand, keeping my head down. The Rani Sahiba's rare loss of temper could not be taken lightly. So why do they want to coronate me? Nothing else entertaining happening in Durgaon? They want to because the so-called government doesn't seem to care. I poured a glass of water and handed it to my mother. Ma, I have finished college and come back. Can you not shout at me within the first hour of meeting me? Your actions deserve it, so what can I do? Okay, sorry. I am sorry, Ma. She relented and we sat on the sofa again. I placed 4 more littis on my plate. There's dinner. Don't stuff yourself with these, Ma said. Sorry, I said, and put my plate back on the table. Anyway, it is just a 2-hour-long ceremony, the Rajabhishek Puja and lunch. What is the problem? No problem at all. I'll do it. The fan in the room stopped. In seconds, sweat beads appeared on our foreheads. In minutes, mosquitoes hovered over us. What happened? I said. Load shedding. Go thank your government for this, my mother said. 16. How much longer, Pandit ji? I said. My back hurt from sitting cross-legged on the floor for over 2 hours. Marriages get done faster than this. The village priest chanted holy mantras for my peaceful and successful rule. Whatever. Around 200 people from Dumraung and nearby villages had come to attend the ceremony. People sat on red plastic chairs. Giant pedestal fans recirculated the hot air. I recognized a few important guests. Mala Vijay Ojha, a 60-year-old man who had been in local politics for over 40 years, sat in the front row. The district collector and the police inspector sat next to him. Local press reporters took pictures and hovered around them. Finally, my mother presented the royal crown to Pandit Ji. She had taken it out of our family safe. It was one of the few precious items we had left. Pandit Ji placed the 2-kilo crown on my head. The crowd applauded. My mother burst into tears. She gave me a hug, an embarrassing public display of affection. Happy now? I said, whispering in her ear. My Rajkumar. She hugged me even tighter. I was sweating profusely in my velvet Bangla suit. Rajkumar is melting in the heat. Can I change? I said. I came down from the stage. Reporters made me pose for photos. My mother introduced me to guests even as reporters took my pictures. Mubarak, Rajkumar Sahib, said a young man in his 20s. My mother introduced him as Akhtar Hussain, one of the 2 teachers in her school. Call me Madhav, I said to Akhtar, shaking his hand. He seemed embarrassed at the suggestion. Madhav, meet Tez Lal, another teacher at our school, and Tarachand ji, the administrative officer, my mother said. I folded my hands to wish both men, each in their 50s. I will be joining the school too, I said. My mother's staff looked at her in surprise. I thought you went to a top college in Delhi, Akhtar said. So? I said. You can get a good job anywhere, Akhtar said. This is not a good job? I said. Everyone grinned. MLA Ojha reached us. He had a thick mustache, upwardly mobile on either side. Congratulations, Rani Sahiba, he said. Ojha ji, thank you so much for coming, my mother said. He folded his hands to take permission to leave. But what about lunch? I have 2 other functions in Buxar. Please excuse me, he said, hands still folded. My mother looked at me. She wanted me to persuade him to stay. Ojha ji, stay a little while. We can eat together, I said. No, Rajkumar ji. Besides, you won't be done soon. See, the line has built up. I turned around to find a queue of about 50 villagers waiting to seek my blessings. A few kids came up to me. They wanted to touch the sword attached to my waist. I guess if you look like a clown, you do attract some attention. If only voters loved their netas like they love you, MLA Ojha said before he left. One by one, I blessed the villagers. Is he a real prince? Like those in stories? I overheard a young girl whisper to another. Of course he is, her friend said. So where is his princess? The young girl said. I smiled. My princess had moved to another faraway kingdom. What time is school tomorrow, Ma? I said. 7 in the morning. Think about work later. Enjoy being the ruler today, she said. It is no fun being a ruler when someone else still rules you. The Dumraon Royal School is a 20-minute walk from our Haveli. I accompanied my mother as we hiked through fields at 6:30 in the morning. There are 3 shifts, over 200 students in each, my mother said. 7 to 10:30, 10:30 to 2, and 2 to 5:30. We reached the grey and black school building. It seemed much older than the last time I'd seen it. Why is it black? I said. Hasn't been painted in 5 years. Every year, the rains wreck the plaster even more. I wondered how Stephens managed to keep its walls a perfect reddish brown. The first shift kids had arrived. They played in the fields outside the school. We had 2 classrooms and a common staff room. The staff room had a long table with several chairs. The teachers used the room to rest in during breaks or to check notebooks. Why is it so dark? I said. Power comes at 8, my mother said. The long table had a stack of files and books at 3 corners. Akhtar, Tej and I have a corner each. The empty one is yours, my mother said. She sat down on her end. She lit a candle and opened a file. These windows could be bigger, I said. My mother nodded without looking up. Akhtar, Tej and Tarachand arrived in the next 5 minutes. They folded their hands when they saw me. Please treat me as a new employee, I said to them. Amused, Akhtar and Tej collected their books for class. Tarachand stepped outside the staff room. He rang the brass bell in the corridor. The teachers left for their classes. Tarachand came back and spoke to my mother. SMDC didn't send anyone, he said. Oh no, my mother said. He promised. The officer gave me his word, Taraji. I went to his house, Rani Sahiba. He said he tried. Hard to justify more funds, Tarachand said. We want 1 toilet. How hard is it to justify funds for 1 toilet for 700 children? My mother said. He said most schools in the area manage without one. Why is Rani Sahiba fussing? Ask him for half a toilet. Tell him to make one for the girls. One girl's toilet, Tara ji, my mother said. Don't embarrass me, Rani Sahiba. I tried. We need money for so many other things too. We need to plaster the roofs, make more rooms and whitewash the building. SMDC said they have nothing. Noises came from the corridor. Kids had assembled outside. Make them sit, please, my mother said. Tarachand stepped out to manage the crowd. The children sat down at one end of the corridor. They faced a wall painted black. My mother held her forehead with her right hand. You okay? I said to her. She nodded. What's SMDC? The School Monitoring and Development Committee. A government body meant to help rural schools. They come, watch and leave. Nobody ever helps anyone. The lights came on. The fan above started to creak. The cool breeze felt wonderful on my sweaty skin. My mother leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes, enjoying the fan's breeze. Why are the children sitting in the corridor? I said, disturbing her reverie. Huh? Oh, that is class 1, my mother said. The morning shift had classes I to IV. Classes 2, 3 and IV used the available classrooms. Class 1 used the corridor as their classroom. I looked outside the staff room. Kids sat on the floor, waiting for my mother. Help me with enrollment. Villagers don't like sending kids to school, my mother said. But ma, I want to teach as well, I said. There's lots of other work. Tarachand ji is hopeless at paperwork. Sounds boring. It's important. I need someone to keep records and lobby with the authorities. I don't have the energy. I took a deep breath and nodded. Like the school, my mother was turning old and weak. Ma, can't we pay for some of these repairs? I said. My mother looked at me. I knew the answer from her expression. I try to give what I can. We hardly have money to repair the Haveli. You were studying in Delhi, so I had that expense. Don't have much. I felt guilty. I wondered if I could have served my mother better by accepting that HSBC job. At least I could have sent her a check every month. We manage. Don't worry. I'm happy you're here, my mother said, reading my mind. How? I said. I take no salary. I pay the staff. If something breaks down, I pay for it. Beyond that, it is difficult. The government is supposed to aid us. They don't. What about what we earn from the fees? It's nothing. The fee is 5 rupees a month. Even then, many students don't pay on time. If we are lucky, the fee covers the electricity bill. The noise levels in the corridor increased. A cacophony of conversation, laughter and screaming drowned our conversation. Look at them. Noisy monkeys. I better go, my mother said. She walked out. The difference between 70 kids on their own and 70 kids with a teacher can be immense. In an instant, the class fell silent. I spent the rest of the morning reading all the files and documents related to the school. I quickly realized that running a school of 700 with a staff of 4 is no joke. Okay, start counting in English, my mother shouted outside. 1, 2, 3. The kids chanted in unison. I didn't know whether these kids from the village would ever use their knowledge of English numerals. Still, watching them learn something felt good. It felt better than watching a movie at a Delhi multiplex. It felt better than the posh party at Riya's house. From now on, these kids are my life, I told myself. 17. 6 months later. You promised, Sarpanch ji, I said, using a hand fan to cool myself. I had come to his house a third time. Sarpanch Gopi, the man in charge of Amwa village, had assured me that every child in his village would come to school. His wife brought us 2 glasses of lukewarm sattu, a roasted powder of pulses and lentils mixed in water. I wished it was a little cooler and less sweet, but drank it anyway. The 60-year-old Sarpanch wore a greyish-white turban, matching his clothes. I thought they joined school. We sent 8 children, he said. They stopped coming after a week. So what can I do, Rajkumar Sahib? I tried. You have to tell them to commit to it. School isn't like visiting the village fair. It takes years to get educated. And what do they do with it? Excuse me? It's almost free. Where is the problem? Gopi paused to look at me. He took out a beedi from his pajama pocket and lit it. Time. Their parents would rather the children help in the fields. And what will they do when they grow up? They will grow up only if they have food. They need to work in the fields for that. I fell silent. You can't win over villagers with an argument. You have to listen to what they have to say. The Sarpanch took a deep puff from his beedi. You studied in a big city? He said. Yes. Why? Big city types never get it. Without knowing us, they have all the answers for us. I am from here. You know that, Sarpanch ji. I know, Rajkumar ji. But what do these poor farmers' kids do with the N1, 2, 3 you teach them? What do you mean? A farmer sends his small child to school. Sounds great. But what does the school give him? Education. What is he without education? What will he do if, say, you make him an 8th class pass from Dumarao? Will he get a better job? More money? Nothing. It's a useless qualification. Here, he at least helps at home. What is his future? I said, confused about how to convince someone about something as basic as schooling. He has no future. Like his father, he will also work in the fields and try to survive. Schools are for rich people. I hung my head. Don't make the poor dream of having a future, Rajkumar ji. The schools you have don't help us get ahead in life. So we don't send our kids there. It's as simple as that. We are not village idiots who don't know better. I nodded. On the one hand, I had to increase enrollments and, on the other hand, I couldn't fault his logic. Anything I can do to help you? I asked as I stood up to leave. His own little grandkid lurked behind him, watching me with curiosity. Help us get water. Kids in the village walk 2 kilometers for it every day. If that ends, we will send them to school. Every politician's office always has people waiting outside. On a per capita basis, Netas meet more people than anyone in any other profession on earth. MLA Ojha's home-come office was packed. Groups of villagers sat outside on the veranda, each with a set of complaints or demands. Pankaj, the MLA's secretary, offered to push me ahead in the queue. I declined. I had little interest in my entitlements as a fake prince. The villagers waited silently. There is something about people with no hope for a better future in life. You can identify them from their expression. Most of all, it is in their eyes, which don't sparkle anymore. They aren't sad eyes. They are resigned eyes. The villagers had accepted that life would be what happened to them, not what they made of it. After all, this was rural Bihar. You can't decide one day to work hard and make it big in life. Nobody will let you. You have ramshackle schools that teach you how to read and write, but not help you make it in life. Even if you did educate yourself, you would find no jobs. What is the point of dreaming big? It is better to sit, wait and retire from life. What have you come here for? I asked one of the village elders. Power. We get it 1 hour a day in our village, Bastipur. Not enough to pump water. We want to ask for 2 more hours. That's it. The man wanted 3 hours of power in 24 hours. And even for that he had to wait to meet his leaders with folded hands. There must be millions of Indians like this, I thought. A lot more than those who attend sushi parties on Aurangzeb Road, for instance. I waved a bunch of flies away. Pankaj came up to me. Come, Oja sir doesn't like it that you're waiting outside, Pankaj said. I'm fine, really, I said. Oja came out of his office. You're sitting on the floor? He said, surprise. Like everyone else, I said. He looked around. Enough now, just come in, Madhav Jha, he said. We sat in the MLA's living room. His wife brought me orange juice. You should have just walked in, he said. I didn't want the villagers to think you give me preferential treatment, I said. Now the villagers will say that I made the Prince of Dumraon sit on the floor. Trust me, they care more about class than fairness. Anyway, what brings you here? I need help for my school. And some hand pumps for the nearby villages. Your school I can understand, Oja said as he raised his eyebrows just a little, but hand pumps for villages? Yes. In Amwa. You are turning into a social worker? Or entering politics? None of those. The kids are not allowed to go to school. They have to walk 2 kilometers to fill water. More hand pumps in villages, more enrollment in my school. Ah, the MLA said as he finished his glass of orange juice. Thank God. He burst into laughter. I sat there, puzzled. If you join politics, my job is in danger, he guffawed. Don't worry, I will not. Also, my school needs help. I know. Your mother told me. It needs repairs worth lakhs. Unfortunately, it is not a government-run school. But it is the only option for our kids. You want something to eat? My wife made pakoras. I shook my head. If you could help with the school, I said, as he interrupted me. Rajkumar ji. Madhav. Please call me Madhav. Okay. Madhav ji. See, my MLA funds are limited. I have to repair roads, fix power and install hand pumps. In fact, I have already run out. How about the state education ministry? Oja laughed. His laugh gave away the answer, it's Bihar. You should know, he said. So you can't do anything? You want a personal donation from me? I am a humble government servant, he said. No, that is not what I came for. I felt the local government should support the only proper school in the area. Parents of these kids vote for you. They do. However, they also have other, more important issues they want me to focus on. I stood up to leave. You sure you don't want to try the pakoras? An angry Rani Sahiba is not a pretty sight. I sat at the dining table, eating pulao and raita for dinner. Sit, I said. Stand up, she said, her voice calm. Too calm, in fact. I flicked the rice from my fingers and stood up. What happened? I said. I'm allowing you to help out in the school. It doesn't mean you tin whatever you want. What did I do? I said. You went to meet that arrogant MLA without telling me? I thought he might help. We can't run the school without toilets forever. Him? He wants the royal family to look bad. Why? How else will he look good? I kept quiet. Sit, my mother said. We both sat down, facing each other at the dining table. The huge dining-cum-living room was eerily silent as she spooned some rice onto her plate. What did he say, anyway? She said. He said he had no money left from his fund. Because he ate it all up, my mother said. Sometimes I wish I had not declined the ticket. What ticket? His party had asked me to contest last time. Why do you think Ojha is so insecure about our family? Contest elections? You didn't tell me. Well, my mother said, I wasn't interested. And did you have time in Delhi to listen to your mother? I was studying, Ma. Or playing basketball. The mention of basketball, without any warning, made me go blank. But you never really listened to me even when you called. Wonder what kept you so distracted there, no girl and all, no? I kept quiet. Was there? She said and laughed. Can't imagine you having a girlfriend. Pass me the raita, I said. Say, no, if there was someone. I shook my head. What? Nobody. You sure? Why have you become all quiet? My mother said. I miss the game. You mentioned basketball. I haven't played in a long time. So go play. Go to Raj High School, people still play there. I nodded. In fact, my mother said, you could even. She turned silent mid-sentence. Even what? Nothing. Say it. Was going to say you could even teach the kids at school. But we don't have a court. Or the money for it, I said, my voice irritated. So I didn't mention it. Anyway, you go play. It'll clear your head. My head is fine. See how you talk to your mother? If your head was fine, you wouldn't have gone to the MLA. I just wanted to help. Enough. Eat your food. My mother still treated me as if I was 10 years old. The funny thing was, I let her. 18. I reached the Raj High School playground at 6 in the evening. I saw a few teenage students on court. We smiled as we acknowledged each other. I asked for the ball. A student passed it to me. I was touching the dusty and dotted rubber texture of the ball after ages. I took a shot. Chak. The soft sound of the ball going through the net without I ouching the ring told me I still had it in me. A few students clapped. Where street? Stephens? One boy said. He had noticed my college t-shirt. I looked at the boy. He seemed clueless about my fancy college. I had been like him not too long ago. I told him about my alma mater. English college? He said. Completely. That too high-class English, I said and laughed. I will never make it. I entered through the sports quota. Maybe you can too. I dribbled the ball. The thumping sound matched my heartbeat. I'm not that good, he said. I threw the ball at him. He caught it reflexively. Let's see. I'm Madhav, by the way. Parth, he said and dribbled the ball. I tackled him as he ran across the court. He was good, but not experienced. It took me 20 seconds to take the ball back from him. I took a shot even though the ring was quite far. I missed. Parth collected the ball and took a shot. He scored. I high-fived him. The last of the sunlight fell on the court. It cast long shadows of the already tail players. I stared at the darting shadows, unable to focus on the game. What? Parth said. He had scored another basket. Nothing, I said, blinking rapidly. He passed me the ball. I caught it by habit, still lost in thought. I wondered if they had basketball courts in London. I was pretty sure they did. I wondered if she still played. And if she did she think of me? Shoot, bhaiya, Parth said. I threw the ball. It not only missed the basket, but also the entire frame. My laziest and worst shot ever. Parth looked at me, shocked. What level did you play, bhaiya? Parth said. His hopes of joining Stephens went up. If someone as sloppy as me could get in through sports quota, so could he. I smiled at him. I ran across to pick the ball. I took a shot. I missed again. I passed the ball back to Parth. I guess I'm not much of a player anymore, one said. Should I call my other friends? We can play a game. I shook my head. I'll just bring down your level, Elle said and left the court. Why has the MLA called us? This can't be good, my mother said. Let's find out. Why are you getting so stressed? My mother and I walked from our house to MLA Ojha's residence. Useless fellow, Ma said. Shush, we're here, I said as we entered the compound of Ojha's bungalow. A freshly shaved Ojha in a sparkling white kurta pajama received us with folded hands. What an honor, Rani Sahiba, he said, beaming. You ordered us to come. What choice do we have, Ojha ji? My mother said. It was a humble request, Rani Sahiba, Ojha said. We followed him to his huge living room and took our seats on red velvet sofas with huge gold embroidered flowers. His dutiful wife, her head covered, arrived with a tray of water and juice. My mother took the tray from her. Mrs. Ojha touched my mother's feet. Bless you, Kusum, my mother said. Kusum scurried back into the kitchen and brought back a tray of snacks comprising laddus, kaju curry, bhujia and almonds. Please don't be formal, my mother said. Ojha sat on the sofa across us, a fixed grin on his face. Rajkumar ji came to me for assistance. I'm sorry, but I explained my helplessness. He said. We understand, my mother said. Well, I have a proposal. You can help me. In return, maybe something can be done for the school. Is it legal? My mother said. Ojha laughed hard. His plate shook in his hands. Nothing like that at all. In fact, a chance to make Dumraung and your school proud. Mother and I waited. Ojha put his plate down. Frankly, it's a big headache for me. I need your help as I'm stuck. What's the matter? My mother said. Have you heard of Bill Gates? Bill Gates? No. Is it a place? My mother said. No, a person. Some Videshi who makes computers or something. Mr. Bill Gates, chairman of Microsoft. They make computer software, I said. My mother and Ojha looked at me as if I were a genius. You know this person? My mother said. The richest guy on earth, I said. Yes, that's what I have heard. He has lots of money, Ojha said. $60 billion, I said. How much? Ojha said. 2,40,000 crore rupees, I said. Ojha's eyebrows went up an inch. What? My mother said. So much? And how do you know all this? Read it in a magazine. It's common knowledge, Ma, I said. Mr. Ojha. You were saying? My mother said, well, this Gates is coming to India, to Bihar, in fact. Has he gone mad? He makes so much money so he can come visit Bihar? She said. Ojha laughed. I don't know much, Rani Sahiba. He has some. Go. They are bringing him here. Why? Maybe he will see the interiors of Bihar and feel richer. My mother and Ojha laughed. Ojha left the room and came back with a letter. He handed it to me. The letter had come from the State Ministry of Rural Welfare. To all MLAs, district collectors, DCPs, the State Ministry of Rural Welfare is pleased to inform that eminent entrepreneur and philanthropist Mr. Bill Gates will be visiting Bihar along with delegates from the Gates Foundation from the 15th of April to 22. April 2009. The state government would like to extend its support to his team. In that regard, request your good officers to provide all cooperation as needed. Suggestions for places Mr. Gates could visit or any events he could grace as chief guest on his week-long trip to Bihar are welcome and encouraged. Please contact the relevant officials in the Rural Welfare Ministry with any queries or suggestions. Signed, Bhamwar Lai, Minister for Rural Welfare, State Government of Bihar. The other side of the page carried the Hindi translation of the same letter. So how can we help you? My mother said, after reading it herself. Rani Sahiba, if Bill Gates comes here, my constituency will be in the news. Will be good for Dumarao. You will get press coverage. The minister will give you a pat on the back. Say that, Ojha ji, my mother said. He couldn't suppress a smile. Well, that too, he said. But ultimately it is good for our town. My mother knew the political game. Ojha wanted a Lok Sabha ticket in the next election. He had to do things to get noticed. What exactly would you like us to do? I said. Organize a school function. Invite him as the chief guest. Through me, of course. I'll ask the ministry to put the school visit on his agenda. No. No, no. Ma threw up her hands in the air. What, Rani Sahiba? Ojha said. I can barely run the school. I don't have the resources to organize a function. Who will pay for the arrangements? We will, Ojha said promptly. I will pay for the function. I thought you didn't have any funds, I said. The MLA looked at me. See, son, I am trying to help you. But there has to be something in it for me. So you pay for the function. People come, attend and leave. What do we get in return? I said. Your school's name will be in every paper, he said. We don't need publicity, we need toilets, I said. We will arrange some makeshift toilets for the day. Exactly. You are only interested in that day. What about us after that? My mother stood up to leave. We will whitewash the school for you, Ojha said. I looked at my mother. Perhaps there was something here. Toilets? I said. Over there, Ojha said, pointed to a door in the right corner. No, I don't want to use the toilet. I meant, what about the school toilets? That's a big project. The school doesn't have plumbing. Everything needs to be done from scratch. Too expensive and too little time to do that. That is what we need. Toilets, electricity and a new roof, my mother said. For just one function I can't justify so much. I will whitewash the school, make all the arrangements for the function. Sorry, MLAG, my mother said. We walked out of the house. The MLA called me aside. Think about it, he whispered in my ear. Rani Sahiba never trusts me. But you know how important this Gates is. A lot of important people will come. I walked up to my mother. Let's do it, I said. Who'll do all the work? She said. I will. Don't you want a whitewash? She looked at me. Please, Ma. She gave a brief nod. Okay? I said. This is the first time I've seen a sparkle in your eye since you came back. So yes, okay. I gave Ojha a thumbs up. 19. I prepared a proposal for Ojha as per his directions. We proposed Bill Gates make a visit to a self-run, not-for-profit school. We would celebrate the annual day of the Dumraon Royal School with Mr. Gates as chief guest. The MLA forwarded the proposal to the Rural Ministry. They have 90 requests, Ojha said, and he can only visit 10 places during his trip. So they will shortlist and let us know. I didn't realize there would be so much competition, I said, surprised. I'm going to Patna tomorrow. Come with me and I'll introduce you to the ministry people. You can persuade them. I accompanied the MLA in his Lal Batti car on the 3-hour ride to Patna. We reached the state government offices. I met Mr. Shyam Kaushal, a middle-aged official in the Rural Welfare Ministry, in his dusty office. He wore a grey safari suit that I think all government employees get free with their offer letters. Headache. This whole Gates trip is a headache, he said and held his head. He showed me the file of requests. Alongside, another fat file contained press requests for interviews, communication with the foundation and papers on various official government functions being planned. Why do we go crazy over these white guys visiting India? Mr. Kaushal said. Because of this white guy, my school will get a whitewash, I said. Do you speak good English? He said. Because they will call you many times. I manage, I said. Manage means what? When he comes, who will talk to him? I will. What will he see in your annual day? It's a Hindi medium school. The entire program will be in Hindi, right? I kept quiet. See. He opened the file. There is this school in Patna that really wants him. They will do a skit in English for him. About the invention of computers and the role of Microsoft. I saw the request. It had come from the Delhi Public School in Patna. This is an English medium school. He can find this anywhere. What's so Bihari about it? I said. Well, it is convenient. We can take him to DPS straight from Patna airport. Mr. Kaushal, I think Mr. Gates wants to see the real Bihar. The posh English school you will take him to means nothing. So what to do? Bring him to Dumraon Royal. Don't worry, we will do a dance or something without words. Mr. Shyam Kaushal remained hesitant. Government employees are the lowest risk takers on earth. Finally, he shook his head. Something needs to be there in English. His team has told us. They want Mr. Gates to engage with the event. Okay, we'll do something in English. What? I'll figure it out, I said. A knock on the door startled us. MLA Ojha came in. Mr. Kaushal stood up automatically. Government employees have a servile switch in their brains. It makes them grovel in the presence of netas. Listen to us poor Dumarav people at least once, Kaushalji, Ojha said. Mr. Kaushal folded his hands. Trying, Ojha Sahib. Goras want to see the real Bihar but in English. I'm going crazy. Ojha slapped my back. Rajkumar ji went to the best English college in India. He will handle them well. I smiled. I did go to the best English college, but my English still, well, sucked. My cell phone rang in the middle of a maths class. The call came from an unknown number. The class 3 students looked at me. I held a chalk in one hand and the phone in the other. I cut the call and continued to teach. 23 multiplied by 12, L wrote on the squeaky blackboard. The phone rang again. Do the sum, I'll be right back, I said and stepped out of class. Is this Mr. Madhav Jha? Asked a female voice in an unfamiliar accent when I picked up the call. Yes, I said. This is Samantha Myers from the Bill Gates Foundation, calling from New Delhi. What? I said. I tried to figure out her words despite the strange accent. Hello. Myself Madhav. What can I do for you? I kicked myself for saying, myself Madhav. I am part of Mr. Gates's advance party. We would like to inspect your school before we decide our itinerary. She spoke so fast I couldn't understand most of what she said. Yes, Mr. Bill Gates. Is he coming? I had not had any update since my visit to Patna a week ago. Well, I need to visit you first. Your school is. Samantha paused as she hunted for the right word. Not in great condition? I said. I had taken her on a school tour. The plaster was coming off the walls. The noise of kids repeating mathematical tables drowned out our conversation. Students peeped out of classroom windows. They stared at the alien creature with golden hair and white skin. No. I wanted to say quaint. Quaint? I said. I didn't understand the word. Different. Different in a charming sort of way. I failed to understand the charm of a school with leaky roofs and furniture that was falling apart. White people think differently, I guess. We came to the staff room. She greeted my mother and the other teachers. Tarachand ji brought us 2 cups of tea. Samantha noticed the damp walls. We will whitewash everything. The local government has assured us, I said. Yeah, that is fine. Can we sit outside? I'd love to get some sun. Samantha said. We walked out, carrying a classroom chair each. We sat in the fields facing the school entrance. The February sun felt warm. It made Samantha's golden hair shine even more. She was pretty. Why had she left the comforts of her own country to roam dusty villages in India? This is gorgeous, she said, looking at the rice crops sway in the air. Mr. Gates will like it? We can arrange the annual day function in the fields. Oh, I'm sure he will. We're a little short on funds. But we will do our best to put up a good show. Sure. Are there enough toilets for the dignitaries? Well, I said, wondering what to say. In some ways, the entire field was available as a toilet. Western-style toilets, I meant. Samantha laughed. Most of the delegation is from the US. We will have temporary ones put up, I said. You don't have them at the school? I looked at her. She seemed more curious than judgmental. I decided to be honest. We are a poor school. We don't have the money to do many things. We are doing this to get noticed so some government officials might help us. Samantha frowned. We will, however, I said, do a good show. The local MLA is with us. I believe you will. Since you mentioned lack of funds, would you like to be considered for our grants program? Samantha said. What's that? Our foundation gives grants, or a sum of money, to deserving social projects. We had you as a tourist stop for Mr. Gates, but you are doing social service, too. Well, it is service for us. My mother has given her entire life to this school. Even I turned down job offers to come here. Great. You can make a pitch toward that too. Pitch? The grants program is highly competitive. We get a lot of wonderful proposals, but give funding to only a few. What do I need to do? Ideally, you need to submit a proposal and make a presentation to the selection panel. However, there's no panel meeting expected anytime in the near future. Then? Samantha paused to think. Please, Miss Samantha, I really need money toward my school. You have seen the condition it is in. Samantha finally spoke. Here's what I suggest. Make a good speech to the visiting delegation. Mr. Gates himself will be present. If he and the delegation like what you say, they may grant you something on the spot. Really? If you can say something inspiring, a pitch that comes across as genuine, a small grant might be possible. What's a small grant? $20,000. Maybe more. But like I said, it may not work. I let out a huge breath. 8 lakhs could transform my school. A speech, eh? I said. Yes, Not too preachy, not salesy. Just from the heart. How long? 5 to 10 minutes. In English, of course. What? I said and jumped up from my chair. My sudden movement caused her to spill her tea. Sorry? Everything okay? Samantha said. I sat back down. English? Yes. But we are speaking in English. I can barely talk to you. Addressing a US delegation in English in front of an audience? I can't. Well, we could have translators. But I'm afraid that just doesn't have the same effect. We finished tea. She called her driver. Kids continued to stare from the classroom windows at the white princess in her white Innova. My English is terrible, I said to her. She got into the car. It's completely your choice. The driver started the car. I continued to stare into Samantha's grey eyes. So? She said. I'll do it, I said and inhaled deeply. I will make a speech in English. My heartbeat was louder than the car's engine. Nice. Look forward to it. See you in April, she said coolly. The car zoomed off. I stood still, wondering why on earth I had agreed to give a speech to the richest man on the planet. 20. Speech? My mother said. In English? To Gorus? Have you gone mad? The state of the school has driven me mad. She sat up on her rickety chair, her eyebrows high. She rested her elbows on the table, her fingers entwined. Whatever it is my school. If you don't like it, leave. Don't be dramatic, Ma. I like it, so I'm doing all this. First, I have no idea who this Gates is or what he does to make so much money. Next, he is coming to my school with a Pulton. Now you have to give a speech. He makes software. Software? Like soft clothes? So much money from that? No, computer software. Like Windows. Windows. Gates. What is he? A furniture dealer? Forget it, Ma, I have to practice my English speech. Good luck. She slid a stack of students' notebooks towards herself. She opened one and started to correct it. I want you to help me. She looked up. How? I don't speak English. Barely understand it. Please let me know if I sound okay. I stood up straight. I pretended I had a mic in my hand. How will I know if you said it right? Ma said, imagine yourself in the audience. See if I come across as confident and intelligent. She giggled, shushed her and began my speech. As I didn't know English well then, this is what I came up with. Good morning, Mr. Bill Gates, Miss Samantha and guests. I, Madhav, welcoming you all to the Bihar, my school doing excellent coaching of children, farmers' children, poor children, small children. I couldn't think of what to say next, so I referred to various kinds of children. I continued. Boy children, girl children, and many, many children. I heard my mother snigger. What? I said. Who are all these children? If scratched my head. Anyway, I continued. My school needing toilet is nobody able to toileting when toilet time conning. My mother burst out laughing. Now it's toilet, she said. I gave her a dirty look. Please go on. She said, enjoying herself. I threw up my hands in the air. I'm useless. What have I taken on? I went into panic mode. I was going to turn myself into a joke. Can you say no? My mother said. I can. Maybe I should. Should I? My mother shrugged. I sat down next to her. I will tell them I can't do it. They can take me off the grants program. Quitting, eh? She said. You laughed at me. Now you are calling me a quitter. I only laughed at your current speech. You can learn to give a better one. How? How much time do you have? 2 months. So learn English. I didn't learn it properly in 3 years at St. Stephen's. How can I do it in 2 months? We don't quit, Madhav. It's not in the Jha family's genes. Meaning? Meaning we may lose everything, but we don't quit. That's what your uncles did, at the gambling table or in business. Being bankrupt is okay, but quitting is not. So what do I do? You work that out. I have to take a class. My mother collected her notebooks and left. Half an hour later, I stomped into her classroom. The students looked up at me. Don't barge in when class is on. Wait outside, she said and shooed me out. She came out when the period ended. I'm going for it, I said. Good, my mother said. But next time, knock. I want to join English classes. In Patna. Patna? There's nothing good in Dumarao. That's true. But how? I'll commute. Weekdays here and Patna on the weekends. Is that okay? Where will you stay in Patna? I'll find some place. We have relatives. Your chachi stays there. She is one weird woman, though. I'll find a guest house. Let me look for good classes there. Come here. My mother gave me a tight hug. Just stay happy, all right? She said. Do what you have to, but don't be a grumpy man like your father. Thank you, Ma, I said. Welcome, English boy. 21. 6,000 for 3 months. He pushed a brochure towards me. I had come to Patna's Pride English Learning Center on Boring Road. M. Shakif, the thin, almost malnourished owner of Patna's Pride, explained the various courses to me. He wore a purple shirt. Sunglasses hung out of his front pocket. We teaching for 5 years. Good English. Personality development, interview preparing, everything people learning here. I was no expert in English, but I could still tell there was something wrong with what he had said. One too many ings, I have to give a speech. To an important audience, I spoke in Hindi, to explain my situation better, no problem. Speech okay, Shakif said. What qualification you having? Graduate. Good. Local? Delhi. St. Stephen's. The name didn't register. He nodded out of courtesy. He rummaged in a drawer, took out an admission form and handed it to me. I wondered if L should pay up or check out other classes. He sensed my hesitation. Sir, we will make you top class. Multinational company English. I only have 2 months, I said. I need fast results. We arrange private classes for you. Extra 500 per class. 500? Okay, 400. I shook my head. 300. Please. Good deal, he said. I filled up the form and paid him in advance for the first month. In addition, I signed up for private classes every Saturday and Sunday. I left Patna's Pride and took an auto to a road outside the railway station, full of guest houses. I finally struck a weekends-only deal with a small hotel called Nest, provided I didn't ask for a receipt. 10 minutes into my first class at Patna Pride, I had a sinking feeling. This wouldn't work. I shared the classroom with 15 other students, mostly around my age and all men. The teacher asked us to call him Verma sir. Say, how, Verma sir said, asking the class to repeat the word. How? The response came in 10 different accents. The word sounded like ho, or ha, or ho. Ah. You. Verma sir said, how are you? The class repeated the words with a Bihari twist. Confidence, Verma sir said, is the secret. It is the key difference in coming across as high-class English or low-class. You have to sound right, too. This is a foreign language. Not Bhojpuri. So the sounds are different. He turned to a student called Amit. Why are you here, Amir? To learn English, sir, Amit said. What kind of English? Top-class English. With big vocabulary. Relax, Verma sir said. Forget big vocabulary in my class. Sir? Amit said, confused. Verma sir turned and addressed the whole class. Students, all you have to learn is simple, confident English. Don't be scared of people who use big words. These are elitists. They want to scare you with their big words and deny you an entry into the world of English. Don't fall into their trap. Okay? Everyone nodded, irrespective of whether they understood Mr. Verma or not. Anyway, let's get back to, how are you, he said. Verma sir explained the O sound in the word, you, and that it did not exist in Hindi. Like cow, it is not CAU, it is a mix of A and O together. Try. The class struggled to utter the simple word. I bet the British would have struggled just as hard if they tried to speak Bhojpuri. If the Industrial Revolution had taken place here, there would be Indian ex-colonies around the world. White men would have had to learn Hindi to get a decent job. White teachers would tell white men how to say cow in Hindi with a perfect accent. Verma sir interrupted my Desi invasion daydream. Yes, what is your name? Madhav Jha, sir. Okay, Madhav, repeat after me. I am fine, thank you. I am fine, thank you, I said. Good, he said. After 3 years at Stephens, L wasn't that hopeless. I could repeat simple phrases. I wanted him to teach me how to give a speech. Meanwhile, he moved on and corrected another student. Far in. Not fain. Please open your mouth more. I spent the weekend in Patna. Apart from attending the classes, I bought a book on confident public speaking from the Patna railway station. I ate puri aloo from a platform stall. The book recommended practicing English with random strangers, so one would feel less ashamed if one made a mistake. Excuse me, sir. Would you be kind enough to tell me if this is the platform for the Kolkata Rajdhani Express? I practiced this sentence on the station platform 10 times. In many cases, the passengers didn't understand me. I moved towards the AC compartments. Rich people usually know English. I'm not sure. I suggest you ask the TC, said one bespectacled man. Was my English correct? I said. Huh? He looked at me, surprised. I explained my attempts at English practice. He patted my back. You did fine, he said. I'm trying, I said. Your English is so good. What do you do? I'm in software sales. I'm Sudhir. He extended his hand. I'm Madhav, I said. All the best, Madhav, he said. Private classes seemed much better at Patna's Pride. I explained my situation to Verma sir. I see, he said. He stroked his chin stubble. Not only do you have to learn correct English, you have to also learn to deliver a public speech. Exactly, sir. I am so nervous. But you do know some English. You graduated English medium, right? I wanted to tell him I didn't just graduate English medium, graduated from a place where even the grass grows in English. I switched to Hindi to explain myself. Sir, I can put a sentence together in English. But all my effort goes into remembering the right words. I can't think of what I'm saying. I understand, Verma sir said. When you don't know the language well, you are self-conscious. It shows in your confidence level. It affects your personality. Not good for job interviews. Sir, this isn't just a job interview. This is about the future of my school and the students who study there. I showed Verma sir the book I had brought from the railway station. He shook his head. No, not this. You don't learn how to become a confident English speaker from books found at a railway station. Else the whole country would be by now. Please help me, sir, I said. Verma sir became silent. Why are you quiet? I asked, worried his silence meant I was a hopeless case. Well, he said. I'm wondering how to go about this. Should I quit? I said. He shrugged. My heart sank. Give it a few weeks. We can decide then. Now stand up and speak your fears out loud. Fears? Yes, open up and face them. In English. I stood in front of the empty classroom. Verma sir took one of the students' seats. Hi, I'm Madhav Jha, and I have a fear of speaking in English. Good. And I have a fear that my school will not manage itself and close down. Go on. One more fear. I have a fear that I will never be able to get over someone I loved deeply. 22.